Hey, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Advocacy Hour. I know it has been a month since you've heard for us, but I'm here. Rebecca is here, and we are excited to talk about food insecurity today because it is a very important topic. Now, what is food insecurity? It is lack of access to food. It's that simple, and it is one of the leading causes of poverty in this country. So we are going to tackle it today.
Yes, and it is such an important topic right now because we just ended or came out of a 43-day government shutdown, which had a huge impact on SNAP benefits, which if you don't know what those are, we're going to describe them a little bit in more detail, but that is like the foundational way of providing for a lot of people's food needs in our country.
Yeah, and I mean that whole shutdown really shook this country to the core. And I have to say, not from a bragging standpoint, but I am very proud of TNE for stepping up. We created a mutual aid fund, and we were able to provide 70 families with grocery food assistance, which we got some really heartfelt emails and messages from people really saying, I'm able to feed my kids this week because of you. And I think obviously because we are a faith-based organization, that was one way that we wanted to be able to put our faith into action. And I know that we're going to be continuing the mutual aid fund in the future for other situations because unfortunately with this administration, it's a little unpredictable of what's going to happen. But thank you to everyone who did donate to that fund and were able to help people during this shutdown.
Yeah, what a wonderful thing to be able to put our faith into action, just like we talk about on this show every month. That is the number one priority or number one, I guess, goal of the show is that we are encouraging people to take action. And so to be able to do that with TNE and provide for those families is just very humbling. And we're just so appreciative of the support of our community being able to do that. And we really want to use this episode to shine a light on the food insecurity, what it really looks like in the United States, get a little beyond the stereotypes. You know, in previous episodes, we've been able to talk about some of the misconceptions around some of these social topics, and really understanding why this is not just a social justice issue, but public health and also a faith issue.
Absolutely. So I'm going to, we do on every episode, I'm going to go through some facts for you because I think there's a lot to food insecurity that people don't realize in the United States. So 1 in 7 U.S. households, that's roughly 18 million people, struggle with access to food. Even after federal programs are in place, 5% of U.S. households experience some form of food insecurity, meaning that they either have to skip a meal or choose if they're going to pay for gas or if they're going to buy clothes or whatever the case may be. 5% of U.S. households usually have to make some form of decision, and food ends up being a part of that decision. SNAP, which Rebecca mentioned earlier, the SNAP benefits when they went out during the shutdown, which stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, is the largest food assistance program in the country, and it currently helps 41.7 million people. That is 1 in 8 Americans. Now, I was shocked by that because that probably means that a lot of people that are on SNAP that you may not be aware of. I definitely was shocked to find out
Right.
how many people I knew were on SNAP when the government shut down. And so you never know what battles people are fighting silently because 1 in 8 is a very large number. Another thing that I think people don't realize, because there's so many misconceptions about SNAP recipients, is that a third of them are children.
Right.
Take that in. A third of them are children. Food insecurity disproportionately impacts families with kids. So that's another reason why this is so important. And then the average SNAP benefit is only $188 per person per month, which is like $6 a day, which this day and age, that doesn't even get you a latte. Like that doesn't even get you a cup of coffee. So
Right.
it's people don't really get that much money. So when they view this as like a government handout, it's incorrect. It's not that much money for the average family that is getting SNAP benefits.
So, a couple other areas of food insecurity too, in addition to SNAP, is also the free lunch program. I actually just saw a really amazing article the other day. Jerry Rice paid off, I think, hundreds of millions of dollars in student lunch debt. And what an
Wow.
incredible story. And people that have, money like that is so wonderful when they put into action, the words they say they want to do good and then they come
Yeah.
back and they do good. And I know all of us don't have access to that kind of cash, but I
Right.
do
Right.
think it is so important to realize how many kids are eligible for reduced lunches. About 50% of students in our US schools are eligible for free or reduced lunches. And of that number, 69% of those students are eligible for free meals, which tells you
Mm,
there are a lot of kids going to school in our country who are depending on food to,
yes.
and there is a lot of evidence to show that eating food, having a lunch, having snacks is actually very helpful to their ability to sit and learn in school.
Absolutely.
The other
Absolutely.
program too, yeah, is and it this is for children as well. It's the WIC program, which stands for Women, Infants, and Children. Now, this program is for pregnant, postpartum, and breastfeeding mothers and their children up to 5 years old. And this program provides supplemental nutrition, education, and referrals to healthcare. And I will tell you, as somebody who benefited from WIC about 20 years ago in California, this saved my ability to be able to provide things like juice, milk, cereal, some of the very basic things that my son and I needed in order to be well fed. So I have a huge place in my heart for the WIC program,
Yeah.
especially. But these children, these young children especially, are getting a lot of resources from programs like WIC and like the free lunch programs.
You know, eh, I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here, but this makes me think of, that viral TikToker that's been calling churches asking for formula. It's it's sad. I mean, I have a lot of thoughts about it, but go just to talk about WIC, why it's so important is because one, formula is not cheap. Not everybody is able to breastfeed, right? And so if you're
Right.
looking for help, I don't understand why there are so many people that are against these types of programs and they think that women get pregnant and they just want to be off of government assistance. It's like, it's not that. And also, so many people on SNAP and WIC work. We just haven't increased
Yes.
wages to be able to afford having kids and to be able to afford being able to give them proper nutrition, be able to give them formula and stuff. So I just thought about the woman calling because so many people were in desperate situations, specifically during the shutdown, and some people were willing to help, but a lot weren't. And I think it's because they thought that this mom, she was obviously fictitious, was just trying to freeload and get some free formula. And it's not that. It's like, it's not cheap. Formula is not cheap. Food is not cheap nowadays. It was really sad to see some of the reaction to that. So I'm glad that you were able to benefit from that. And I figured you had a personal story that was good for the audience to hear for sure. It's also just interesting with all of the food programs that the government does have in order to help people. This It's called the One Big Beautiful Bill, but I'm going to call it the Ugly Bill. Um, it added even stricter eligibility clauses in the act, and now it expanded work requirements even to be up to 65. It limited
Right.
participation, and there's a lot of changes in that bill for access to these programs that it's going to make it even harder for people, and it's going to increase food insecurity. Now, the other thing that people may not know is on top of that bill being passed, on top of there being increased eligibility requirements, the USDA just recently terminated their annual household food security survey. So not only are they making it harder to get access, now they're not even tracking how much food insecurity is happening in the country. So it's going to make accountability harder, and it's going to make policy
Right.
evaluation harder, and it's going to make it it's just going to make it more difficult for people. And it just, my god, I feel like they want people to starve or die, and I just don't understand. How can you fix a problem if you don't have the data to fix it? That's what I don't get.
Yeah. Is it the out of sight, out of mind? If we don't have the numbers, then we don't actually have to think about it. That's what it makes me think of when you described that.
Sure, because if the problem's not there, then you don't have to fix it, right?
Right. Right.
That's what the
And going
attitude.
back to your, yeah, going back to you made a comment about the wages, and I want to say
Mm,
I was looking this up a little bit too, and just looking at, you know, a, a lot of people think that SNAP, the adults don't work, and a lot of them do work. In fact, some of the largest companies in our country, like Walmart and McDonald's, are the largest employers of SNAP beneficiaries. So,
yeah.
there are people who are working jobs full time, and because the minimum wage hasn't kept up, which I'll tell you, when I was getting these WIC benefits, I was making, I was thinking back, $6.45 an hour. It's not that much higher than
Right.
what I was making 22 years ago and
Yeah.
qualified for WIC. And the prices have doubled probably since that time
Tripled
on
probably.
groceries and formula, probably. So when we think about like that minimum wage impact, if people are not making money that is, in line with how much things cost, then that need grows even larger. And we're not doing
Absolutely.
enough. If we're not tracking it, we're not getting the numbers. We don't know
Right.
actually what the need really is.
Right. And, someone said, I don't know who it was, but they said that hunger is not a personal issue, it's a policy issue. And I think that that's 100% correct, because if hunger is still affecting this many millions of people, even after these programs are in place, like, what does that say about our political priorities, right? What does that say about
Right.
who deserves to be fed in the eyes of the government? And I personally have no problem spending tax dollars on programs that help people. I want my tax dollars to go to women that can't
Same.
afford formula, to children that need to have a lunch in school. And I think that the funny thing about it is that I hear from specifically a lot of people on the right and Christians talk about, well, why I want to choose where my tax dollars go. Okay, well, you're not that much of your tax dollars are even going to these programs. The average American pays
Right.
very little, right, in taxes for these programs. Like I did the math, me and Chat GPT, but if you divide the cost across all of the U.S. households, it comes out to like we pay maybe $950 a year. So that's like $79 a month or $6 a day to make sure that families, kids, seniors, and disabled Americans can eat. That's nothing. That's a nice dinner. That's cheaper than a
Yeah.
nice dinner. That's less than two streaming services. That's less, a year of Netflix costs more than that. And for that amount, we are keeping millions of people fed, and it's still not enough. So it's funny because they always want to talk about waste, fraud,
Yeah.
and abuse, but they never want to talk about compassion and smart public policy.
Yeah. And I love how you put it in perspective with the streaming services, because I know we all know what we're spending on those. And if it's less than that, I mean, how easy. We see all these commercials all the time, 37 cents a day or whatever. And just thinking about like, this is here.
Yeah.
We have people here in this country who were saying we don't want to give our money because we want to be able to decide where it goes. And as you were saying that too, I thought, well, I used to give money to a church because that's what I thought they were doing, was
Mm,
providing things like this. And when you realize the churches, it is their job. When somebody says, well, the churches are supposed to do that. Yeah, I agree,
yeah.
but they're
Yeah.
not.
They're
And
not at
that's what
all.
was so brilliant about that TikTok, is that we saw that they're not.
Yeah.
And in fact, there's just for our own members. Well, what good is that doing in the community?
Yeah, yeah. It's the gatekeeping for help that's so outrageous to me. And look,
Yes.
obviously, like, we talk about things from a faith-based perspective, but like let's take that out of it, right? Because even from an economic perspective, the return on the taxpayers' investment into SNAP is like, for every dollar, it's like $1.50 in economic activity, right? For each dollar, it's like 60 plus $60 a lifetime value for investing into humans, investing into American citizens. That is such a modest amount to contribute. And it's not charity, it's literally an
Yeah.
investment into our workforce, it's an investment into our health system, into our economy. Because if people have access to healthy, nutritious food, they're less likely to have medical issues, right? But if they can't find
Yep.
access to healthy food, then they're going to have medical issues. I mean, everything is kind of cyclical. Everything comes together. And I feel like if people don't look at it from an economic, if you don't want to look at it from a faith-based standpoint, okay, that's fine. But look at it from an economic standpoint. It is an investment into the economy. It's an investment into this country to make sure that people are healthy and fed, because then they can also show up for work. And then they can also do other things. Then they can provide for their families. Then they'll spend money on other things that they don't have to worry about food. But I don't know why we're
Yeah.
not taking the time to have that conversation as well.
It is wild. And I love being able to separate out the faith piece from it, because not everybody is on board with that. Or maybe there
Sure.
is, we talk about tithing can be sort of triggering for people. which totally understandable given a conversation like this. How important it is that we can also look and see, how it does impact the political landscape in talking about the economic aspect of it. When groceries, this old word of groceries, is coming up in that conversation, well, let's look
That
at it
old
from that
age
economic
word.
perspective then. And oh, yeah, I think it's so important that we are thinking about it, not, I mean, from that perspective and also the faith perspective. But, knowing these things that, specifically in this administration and in how they, like to talk about the old words like groceries, and they don't really see the value in showing up for our communities. And these organizations, we have somebody coming on the show today to talk about what they are doing on the ground to participate in providing nutritious and healthy meals. Because as we just talked about and just heard Malynda say, these things are all connected. When we eat well, we don't have health issues. When we feel well, we feel like we can show up in the world, we can participate, and then those connections are just amazing. So it's not just about the food, and it's not just about the need. It's about how do we be humans together, and
Yes.
really, really see the humanity in each other.
Yes, absolutely. So we're going to be welcoming in just a second Chaya Segelman from Our Big Kitchen LA. And this is an organization that is committed to providing food, dignity, and community-centered support to individuals and families in the Los Angeles area that are experiencing food insecurity. I have had the honor of being able to volunteer with this organization. So I'm really excited to be bringing them to the TNE audience. So we are going to play just a short little intro video about OBKLA, and then we'll be back with our guest, Chaya.
We wanted to honor our mother, our matriarch, by creating this kitchen in her memory to bring her life story of hope, healing, and dignity to the world.
Margaret Fetter and OBKLA are forever interconnected. Her story of survival is part of our DNA. The mission of OBKLA is to overcome food insecurity in Los Angeles and create a community of volunteers that are dedicated to this mission. It is about building human connection. In the last 12 months, OBKLA has prepared over 70,000 meals for families and individuals in need.
The volunteers are the engine that drives us.
In one session, over 400 meals get prepared. You can't achieve that without a team of people.
I am so proud that we have built a community of over 15,000 volunteers.
The meals are created in 2 hours and distributed to families and individuals on the same day.
You go and you actually work. You cut up veggies, you make meatballs, fajitas. It's real food and it opens your heart.
I love going to OBKLA. Everyone is from a different walk of life. Professionals, young people, seniors, children, and teens. But we're all there for one purpose: giving back.
Welcome back to Advocacy Hour, everyone, and welcome to our special guest today, Chaya Segelman, who is the program director for Our Big Kitchen, aka OBKLA. Chaya, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So I am familiar with your organization, and I know that nonprofits, there's always stories behind purpose. But for people that are just now hearing about OBKLA for the first time, can you share what the core mission is and what the approach the organization takes, and also what inspired you to get involved in food justice and community-based advocacy?
Absolutely. So, Our Big Kitchen Los Angeles, otherwise known as OBKLA, we create these beautiful restaurant quality meals by our amazing volunteers that are then distributed by our charity partners all across Los Angeles to Angelinos that are suffering from food insecurity. What we really aim to do is to feed people food we would like to be eating ourselves. So we really put a lot into the dignity, the intention, the ingredients. We really want to make these meals as beautiful as possible and to treat everybody the way we would like to be treated, and to not just nourish their bodies, but nourish their souls and really share the love from our heart to their hearts, and really to make the world a better, brighter place one meal at a time.
I love that. That's beautiful.
Wow, that is just really so incredible to hear more about it. I know that Malynda has worked with your organization before, so it's really neat to
Yeah.
hear directly from you as well. I am curious, and part of the point of this show is to really help people understand maybe some of the misconceptions that they've held about various topics. And so today, in talking about food insecurity, can you elaborate a little bit on what you've seen really on the ground in your work with OBKLA and how you've seen food insecurity in real life?
Absolutely. So, I mean, I feel like there are the obvious, the obvious scenes on our streets of people that are suffering from food insecurity. But what a lot of people don't realize that there are families that are just like you and I, and people that have to make really tough decisions. Am I going to fill my car with gas today and drive to work, or am I going to feed my kids? And there are some really hard decisions that they have to make. And I believe that in 2025 in Los Angeles, where there is such affluence, there's also such extreme where there are people that are either, there could be one thing that just tips them over the edge. It could be one big medical bill, one issue, one thing that is just when you're going day by day, month by month, just surviving. There's that one thing that can cause a ripple effect of going from being okay to being food insecure to losing your home, losing your job, and it's very scary out there. And I see all the time, we work with these incredible nonprofits all over LA, so I get to see the amazing work that other nonprofits are doing, and just hearing stories and learning, about the different populations that they serve. It's just there's so much more out there than any of us could imagine. And yeah, and it's just for people to have to make those decisions, or have to worry about what am I going to feed my family today, or have that extra stress on top of everything that they're going through in life, during those hardship times. Also worrying about where's my next meal coming from, or what am I going to be feeding my family over the next few days.
I think you hit on something really important, that people are kind of just one situation away from being food insecure or
Hmm.
not being able to feed their family. And what I love about your organization is that you are filling that need for people in a very beautiful way. And as someone who has volunteered and been a part of the process, it's so efficient. I mean, they really have this down to a science. But can you talk a little bit about just kind of what a regular week looks like for OBKLA, from when the food arrives to when volunteers show up to when it gets distributed, how you decide where it's going? Just walk us kind of through the process of what you all do.
Absolutely. So we have an amazing team here of chefs that we start with creating these beautiful meals, the menus, the recipes, all the ingredients. Everything is ordered just in time. So we actually don't have any of our produce or food donated. We order it all in from the same suppliers that restaurants use, because we want to ensure the quality of the ingredients and consistency. So we know, hand on heart, we can feed everyone the best quality food that we can. And some of our chefs have worked in Michelin star restaurants, in wineries, and other amazing places, and bring their skills together to create these meals that could be made in a short amount of time with a team of volunteers. So at each volunteer program, which typically runs for 2 hours, we're preparing and packaging between 300 and 500 meals from start to finish. And as you know, the process is, it happens like clockwork. We're busy the entire time. And we've been able to create these processes that we can make these meals from start, from raw ingredient all the way through to packing it into the containers, going out the door for distribution right away. So we run a number of open to the public sessions, but we also have a lot of private groups that come in. A lot of corporates will come and do team building. People will come celebrate their birthdays with us. So, instead of going out to a restaurant, they'll bring their family and friends to us, and we'll be able to feed an additional 300 people as a result. So every day we do around 3 cooking sessions a day. So a typical day would be starting off with the chefs doing the initial prep work in the kitchen, getting everything ready. Our program administrators would be setting up the room, getting our aprons ready, making the room look great. We want it to be a beautiful experience for the volunteers, so they keep on coming back. And when you walk in, you see all the vegetables and that are fresh from the market laid out on the tables. And it's when everyone walks in, they're like, wow, the colors, the vibrancy, when they're chopping
Mm.
the vegetables, really understanding that this is the quality of the meals is what's really important, and all the love and intention again that goes into it. Because again, anyone that's going through hardship is obviously when they're, the nutrients that are there. That I had a family um, that was the recipients of our meals that actually came to volunteer after they received the meals, and they're like, we're in a better place now, and we want to come and give back. But the mom was sharing with me, she's like, my kid never eats fresh vegetables. Like, if they have the few dollars for a meal, they'll be buying McDonald's or something else. So for her to be able to feed her kids these nutritionally dense, there's always the vegetables, the protein, the carb. It's a full meal, single serve meal that we're supplying, as well as our famous chocolate chip cookies that we always include in our meals, because we say nothing makes people feel more loved than a homemade chocolate chip cookie. So, which the volunteers all get to taste later on for quality control. And I think that's a bit of a secret to our great
I
volunteer
can
base as
confirm.
well. Yeah.
And
So,
I can confirm there is nothing like a homemade chocolate chip cookie. So I could imagine that's a very, very special part
Yeah.
of what you all are providing. I'm
yeah.
curious, you talked about ordering the supplies, ordering the food. So how has the current economic situation and rising prices and everything, how has that affected your ability to impact the community and to provide meals in the way that you've been able to do?
So for starters, we've seen a huge increase in requests and new We're signing new, we're partnering with new nonprofits every week. So we've just signed our 66th nonprofit that have come and joined us. So we create these meals, and again, some days it's up to 1,000 meals a day that we're able to create.
Wow.
And we partner with the nonprofits to distribute it. So just in seeing on our end in terms of the cost, obviously the cost of food is rising, and we feel like every time that happens, more amazing people step up to come and help. So I feel like when you're onto something good and you have good, these are right intentions behind things, and we're very lucky to have a lot of corporate partners here in LA that come and again bring their teams or help us with yearly gifts that we're able to do this. But also every group that comes in as a private group will essentially underwrite and sponsor all the meals they're making that day. So it is in a way a self-sustainable organization, so that we know already we book the groups, and then we're able to let the charity partners know how many meals they're able to receive that week. So it has such a tremendous impact. And I'm amazed again, like I'm originally from Australia, moving here to LA, and just to see this huge outpouring of support, that everyone really truly cares about their neighbors and they really want to make a difference. And Malynda, you've been in this space, and you just see the incredible energy that there is when people come together to help others for the right, and in a beautiful way with so much respect. It's just amazing.
It really is. And I think also what I love about the organization is that I love that you said you want to feed people what you would eat yourself, because I think
Mhm.
having that mindset that gives them the human dignity, and it takes away the
Mm-hmm.
shame of needing help. And that's one of the reasons why I love your organization so much, is because you treat everybody the same, and everybody's situation, you never know what anybody's situation is. And it's just like, this is
Yeah.
a home cooked meal that is delicious and nutritious. Everybody deserves to have that. And I love that. I really love that.
So that's exactly the point, and that's really our mantra: is that everybody deserves to eat a beautiful, nutritious, healthy meal that's made with a lot of love. So, and really, again, it's really the power of our volunteers that come in, and everyone that joins us is what allows us to. We're not cooking when we don't have volunteers. So when they, coming in, it's just a beautiful ripple effect of kindness. And something else that we do, which you've seen as well, at the end of the program, when we're packing the cookies after we make sure they're good enough to send out, we ask everybody then, because we'll be sending the meals for distribution with our charity partners, but we want everyone to also feel the impact themselves. You already feel, within 2 hours, you've made these meals from scratch. You see it going out, you understand it. But we want everyone to also be able to take action. So we do something called OBK it forward. We pay it forward. We ask everybody at the end of the session, please take this pack of cookies and give it to somebody in the next 24 hours, like whether someone on the street or at work or at home. And we've heard the most incredible stories of human connection come back to us. Like one of our staff members gave it to her Uber driver on the way home, and her Uber driver started crying. And she was like, I'm a single mom working 3 jobs to support my family. struggling with mental health issues. And this is the first nice thing that somebody's done for me in a long time. And it's just to know the power of it's the human connection, treating everyone with love, like we're all family, and that's it. We just try and do our part.
Yeah. You shared a lot of personal stories, but is there a specific story that touched you from people either coming through as a volunteer or one of the organizations that you've worked with? I'm just curious because I'm sure you've met and
Yeah, there's
heard
so
from so
many.
many people, but if there's one story that stands out to you, I'd love for you to share.
Um, there's so many, but just off the top of my, one story that I thought was beautiful, and sometimes people don't, we don't understand this part, is that there's a beautiful organization we work with, that is working with mental health outreach on Skid Row, and they were saying that a lot of their clients obviously are suffering from lack of trust in the system, and being on the streets long term. And what they do is they use these meals as to build trust. So really, the food is not just, again, and I hear this in so many different ways from different organizations. The meals are building trust in the community that then allows them to bring them inside and and then help them get to a better place through providing services. And really, it's creating connections through food. And that you just understand the power of a meal and the power of a person handing someone else a beautiful meal that they would be happy to receive themselves is something that has been like a light bulb moment for a lot of the recipients. And again, another one was a beautiful story of someone who came into one of our open volunteer sessions. It was a little late, so I was I saw someone at the door and I welcomed them in, and this gentleman told me, I was like, he looked unsure outside, like, am I, I don't know if, am I in the right place? And I said, oh, and he's like, I'm here to volunteer. I said, oh, did you sign up? Because we have a sign up process. And he said, yeah, I signed up. And he went and checked himself in. And I said, I always like to, find, how did you hear about us? And getting to know them. And he was like, well, actually, I just received one of your meals just last week. I actually am still, and I saw on the container we had the website. So he looks it up because he was so moved by it. And he's like, I am still food insecure, but I wanted to come and help someone else. And I wanted to be able to feed someone else and be a part of this. And I just started crying. And I'm like, just to see the human spirit and how the kindness that is in everyone's heart is just beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that.
What a
That
Thank you
gorgeous
was,
for sharing
story.
those. I know. I was like getting all emotional.
Yeah.
I know. And
Oh,
I have so many others. You really see the best of humanity here.
absolutely. Which we need more
Absolutely.
of.
Yeah. So we
Yes.
said it's really
Yes,
like
we do.
our motto really is like meals, love, unity, community, because everybody, once you walk in the door, like, it doesn't matter where you come from or where, everyone leaves everything at the door. Inside, we're all just people trying to help others. And there's the unity and doing that together. The meals obviously is the key, and community. It brings people together that might not necessarily be in a room together. And when you're cooking, it's such a universal, food is so universal. Everyone has something to
Right.
talk to the person standing next to them about it. Oh, this is how I chop this is my grandmother's recipe, or this is, like, everyone connects and you're working together as a team, and it really brings people together in their essence. And it's just, there's magic that happens here, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Well, and I love that there's the buy-in of the action, right? It's not just giving money to an organization. It's actually like
Yeah.
participating and looking into someone's face to hand them the meal is such a acknowledging their dignity as a person, right? I just everything that you've described, the model that you have for corporate sponsorships, all of those things, it's just really amazing to hear it all described like this. So thank you so much.
Of
Yeah.
course. You know what else is something, just on that note, the volunteers themselves are coming and the nonprofits are distributing it. And what's beautiful is, I think the person making the meal isn't, if the person making the meal isn't meeting the recipient necessarily. And there's that beautiful cycle there of,
Mm.
there's the anonymity, the dignity and all of that, but it's made with so much love and received with so much love. So I think there's just, again, so much power in that.
Absolutely. I also just want to say, as someone that has volunteered, we also don't feel insecure making the meals. Because I walked in and saw those vegetables. I was like, I don't know if I'm able to cut up these vegetables the way that they want. But the chefs come out, they show you what to do, they make it super easy, and then you really do feel like you're doing some good. So if anybody does end up volunteering with you from hearing this episode, don't go in nervous about making a meal. It does sound a little intimidating especially if you're not a cook. I cook at home, but it's a little bit different cooking for kids and my husband. When you're cooking hundreds of meals, it does feel a little intimidating, but they set you up for success. So I just wanted to also say thank you for that, because it was a really easy experience to be a part of.
Great. And we have kids as young as 5 years old and up come and join us. So if the kids
Oh,
and the
wow.
kids do everything besides the chopping. The chopping is
Right.
16 plus, but the kids are rolling meatballs, they're making the cookies, they're packing the meals. So it's something beautiful you can do with your family. And as you know, like the kids, you can tell them anything you like and share your values and say, look after people. When they see you do it, then they know this is really a really important value for us to do if my parents are doing this, and doing it together is really, really beautiful way to share that.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, hi, I am so grateful for you spending some time with us and letting us all know about OBKLA. Can you let everyone know where they can find it? If they do want to donate, how they can donate as well. But if they want to volunteer, most importantly, what should they do?
All of the above is at our website, obkla.org. So we appreciate the support. Come and join us in the kitchen. I think once you experience it yourself, you really get to feel the magic, and then you'll be coming back with your friends and family and company and everything else. But come and experience it yourself first. So you can sign up to any of our open to the public sessions. You can donate. You can sign up to bring your company through everything through there. And then on Instagram at OBK Los Angeles, you get to see a real visual see how much fun we have over here as well. So we would really love to welcome you all to join us. And I really, again, I'm so grateful to you both for having me today, be able to share this again, because the more people we bring in here, the more people we can feed. So very grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. All right.
Right.
Thank you. We'll be right back. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning into Advocacy Hour. And a huge thank you again to Chaya and OBKLA. If you live in Los Angeles and you want to get involved, again, visit obkla.org. You may see me there. I love to go volunteer there. It is a great way to give back. And if you're looking for other ways to give back, make sure you sign up for TNE Connect and check out our TNE Action component, where you'll find resources, petitions, other action steps, and of course, information on today's guests.
Yes.
Yeah.
And whether you do choose to volunteer, donate, advocate, educate, or simply share what you learned today, your action matters. And I know for me, I definitely want to go volunteer with Malynda sometime when I go back to visit California.
I think you just want the chocolate chip cookies. I'm just kidding. You're like,
You
I want
know,
those too.
it's definitely a positive.
All right. Until next time, make sure you keep showing up, speaking out, and putting your faith into action. Bye, everyone. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.